Good morning, everybody. Good to see everybody this morning. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear me okay. Stephen, good morning. First one in the house this morning. Hope you're doing well, Stephen. Owl's Nest Barbecue, good to have you. Miss Rhonda, good to have you this morning. Mark, Matt, good to have you guys this morning. Jeremy, good to have you. Robert, good to have you. David, good to see you this morning. Okay, one more beer. Have you detoxed? I'm working on it. Oh, man. Steven says couldn't be any better, according to the docs. Good. That's awesome, man. We'll give it just a minute and see if anybody else comes in this morning. Glad you guys showed up this morning. I was wondering if anybody was going to show up since it's been a couple of episodes that I missed. Did I get any snorkeling in? I did not. We'll talk about the whole trip and tell you what we did do, what we didn't do, what we wish we had done, and all that stuff. But man, what a great trip. I did not want to come back. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, seriously. I done looked up places to rent, set me up a little barbecue stand on the roadside or something, you know. Go watch the sunset every day. Good morning, Gary. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and we enjoyed having you. We enjoy having you every time that you can make it. I have got 7:03, so we'll go ahead and get started. First of all, welcome back. Glad to be back on the live stream, at least. I don't know if I'm glad to be back here compared to that beautiful place that we were at. It's that place is almost so beautiful that it's like a picture or something. It's like it's not real almost. The color of the water and just the whole atmosphere is just beautiful. And everybody's nice. We'll get into all that because I've got a lot to talk about it. And I'll try to talk about some barbecue stuff too. But just wanted to fill you in on how our experience went and that kind of thing. If some of you are interested in a new vacation spot, you know, this might be something that you want to check into or whatever. So, but I will be doing a video on it and posting it like I did last year. So there'll be more to come as far as that goes. So let's get into our trip a little bit. First off, I've got my camera set up. I mean, my phone set up right here. I figured I would just go through the pictures a little bit just to kind of remind me of some of the things I wanted to talk about. Because while we were over there, every now and then something would happen, and I would think, you know, I want to talk about that on the live stream. I didn't do a live stream over there because first off, the service was, you know, not real good. Sometimes we had good service, sometimes we didn't, and it was bouncing through several different server companies, I guess, and all that. So anyway, I didn't try to do that. I did post pictures. Brandy posted a lot of pictures But again, I'll do a video on all that stuff. But anyway, we flew Delta over there. Flew out of Jacksonville, Florida, and then went to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta to Cancun. So that was a great experience, uneventful trip. Delta was great. The planes were great. Landed on time. We were in Cancun by probably 10:30 that morning, 10:10, somewhere around there. So very pleased with the travel over there. And when we get there, I mean, it's just as beautiful as we remembered it last year. You know, sometimes when you have an experience like this and it turns out really good, like last year's trip, you know, well, maybe that was a fluke. You know, maybe that was, we just got lucky. Well, we didn't get lucky because this trip was the same. I mean, it was just as beautiful. People were just as nice. Everything was just as nice. So, really pleased about that. Some of the food that we ate, I didn't get a chance to eat any al pastor tacos. I did see a place that looked really good and came highly recommended. So the next time we go, that's the place that we'll probably go eat when we eat out in town. We did the all-inclusive thing just because I like getting there and not having to worry about, you know, how much money we're spending and all that because it's already paid for. So we do that. But on Tuesdays, we usually go out in town and pick a restaurant and eat out in town. So, but anyway, first off, I've never eaten Nutella before. Have any of you guys eaten Nutella? I had never tried it. But I kept seeing these things that people were eating over there, and it's almost like a crepe, I guess. It's because it's really thin. But they cook it on this iron, and I'll include this in in my video because I videoed the guy making it. But he's got this specialized iron. It's like a big waffle iron almost. But he pours his batter in there and he mashes it, and it comes out about the size of a dinner plate. And he'll flip it over and cook it again. Well, we got the dog and the cat out here this morning. But he does that, and then he'll spread Nutella over it. And there's several different toppings: Nutella, peanut butter, bananas, all kinds of stuff. Well, I got the Nutella and banana. So he spreads the Nutella over it, and then he slices up a banana, puts it in there, and then rolls it up. And it's like a little roll with Nutella and banana in it. But as that batter cools, it gets a little crispy on the outside edge, and the actual batter part tastes like a waffle cone, but it's really, really thin. And man, that stuff was awesome. So we got one. It was just a street vendor out there. Had a little bitty back cart that was hooked to like a bicycle, and that stuff was awesome. So I'll put a video of him making that in the when I do the video. But that stuff was amazing. Nutella M&Ms. I've never even heard of those. Well, I'm a fan. I mean, I loved it. And later on in the week, we ate breakfast every morning downstairs, and but they always had Nutella on the breakfast bar. And I started putting the Nutella and peanut butter on my pancakes, and it was great. So it was really cool. And it was the coolest part, other than eating it, of course, was watching the guy make it. And that whole street vendor type experience was really cool. And Brandy got some churros, and that was a street vendor, and we got to watch him make those right there on the street, and that was pretty cool too. So we'll include all that. So that was one of our experiences. The other experience, and I'll put links in the video when I get it posted, probably a couple days. But we stayed at a place called Privilege Aluxus Hotel. They upgraded our room for free for some reason, but we got we had paid for it, a suite deluxe, and ended up with a junior suite. That's junior suite. It was me, Brandy, and my sister-in-law. That junior suite was it was 3/4 the size of our house. The balcony overlooked the street. There's a little roundabout right there on the corner. Overlooked that, the whole ocean front, and then we could walk over. I mean, it was huge. There were 4 different sliding glass doors that opened up to that patio, to tell you how big the patio was. The room was beautiful. Everything was beautiful about it. But we'll post pictures. But I was blown away by the room that we got. We actually got 2 rooms, because next to the last night we get a call and they said that there was a leak coming from our bathroom. Now, we didn't have a leak in the room, but like in between the walls, there was a leak going down to the bottom floor, and they needed us to move so that they could fix it. So we got a room overlooking the pool area, and we could still see the ocean. There was a suite deluxe like we were supposed to get originally, but because we had to move, they gave us 3 free 25-minute massages the next day, which I thought was pretty cool. Buster, good to have you. Dave C. just finished stuffing a pork loin with Swiss cheese and ham. That's going to be good. So we got free massages the next day, and those were amazing. So I was kind of glad that we had to move rooms to get the massages. You recall if they still have the turtle sanctuary? They do. We actually saw it last year. Really cool. I mean, basically they're raising sea turtles, and they raise them from the time that they hatch. They actually bury eggs out there from the time that they hatch until, I guess, they're ready to be released into the wild. But really cool. They've got different displays of different sizes, as they've gotten bigger and all that stuff. So beautiful animals. You can swim with the whale sharks out there. I think we're going to try to do that next time. We got a good resource for that from some people that did it while we were down there. And so I think we're going to try that next time. So yeah, I do have a little depression, and I'm going to get into that in just a second, because I'm going to tell you why it was a little depressing to come back. And something that I didn't expect, but something that I experienced last year. And again, sometimes you don't know if that was just a one-time experience thing, or if it's normal. And I experienced the same thing when we came back home, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. Food. There at the hotel, you can get anything you want. And literally anything that you want. Breakfast, there was always someone there that would make you fresh omelets with whatever you wanted in the omelets, any kind of fruits, any kind of, and this is a bad thing about trying to stay on keto, is every kind of pastry, every kind of bread, and I did try some of that. I mean, just anything you wanted. One night for supper, they had a roasted pig. It was, I'm going to guess it was probably about a 45 pound pig. But they had roasted it, still had head on and everything out there. And again, I'll show you all that. But the outside crust of that pig was almost crunchy, but then the inside was just like fresh pulled pork, just moist, tender, fall apart. Uh, and all they did, they just took that pig and sliced it this way and then sliced it that way, so you could get, you know, big square pieces just pulled straight out of that meat, but then it had a crust on the outside. That stuff was amazing. But again, just really anything that you wanted. Each night had kind of a theme for the restaurant, you know, fusion night where they kind of fuse a couple of different types of foods together. International night, seafood night. Uh, really, really amazing food. But Tuesday night, we also went back to Lola's and ate there. I got a stuffed poblano pepper, and it was stuffed with roasted chicken, rice, sour cream, all the pico de gallo, um, all kinds of stuff. And then it came on cheese, and it came on a bed of that reddish brown, that dark, rich Mexican sauce with some cheese. That was amazing. Brandy and Andrea, they got the ranchero steak tacos that I got last year. And again, that steak was, I hate to say that they used tenderloin in a taco, but I really believe they used tenderloin in a taco because it was fall apart tender beef steak, but cooked perfectly, about medium, maybe a little bit medium rare, but so tender. We got the guacamole with green apples diced up in it with fried goat cheese again, and it was amazing. It was just like it was last year. It was great. So I highly recommend Lola's if y'all go there. It's always a great experience. So really cool. But I'll go into some more about the food in the video. I don't want to bore y'all too much with all this, but I just remember several things that I thought, I want to mention that while we're there. I mean, obviously drinks, it was all inclusive. So we did not go thirsty. We were full up for about 5 straight days because the drinks fill you up and then the food fills you up. We could get, and again, I said it probably last year and it's the same again. Some of the best chicken wings I've ever had was from that beach, the little beach bar down there. I don't know what they're seasoning them with. It's it's not a wet wing, but it's got it's not teriyaki. I don't know what it is, but it's just amazing. I don't know how many orders of wings we got, but those were really good. Um, but really, the shrimp ceviche, fish ceviche, had several orders of that. The fish ceviche, the chunks were, they were big fish pieces. The shrimp was, I've had shrimp ceviche before, and the shrimp were kind of chopped. These were whole shrimp and perfect every time. There's a roasted pig. I'll share pictures of that, but that was great. Tequila, good Lord. They have, and I haven't researched this, but I'm taking their word for it. But their tequila, first of all, it's not like American tequila. And several different people told me this, but they kept saying, you know, American tequila, they add certain things to it, add sugars to it, add this or that. One guy even said that's why you get hangovers in America drinking American tequila, because of the sugar, that they don't add anything to their tequila. And one they had a, and it doesn't sound great at first if you've ever drank tequila. It's a distinct flavor, and you would think chocolate tequila would be awful. Well, there was a guy there that had chocolate tequila, coffee flavored tequila. Uh, what else? I don't know. One morning, well, the morning that we were leaving the island, actually, we were walking to the ferry, and this guy stops us. Hey, and they'll just call you in there. You want to try some tequila? Yeah, sure. So we tried tequila that morning. Another morning, we saw the tequila man that's in the video from last year. He was still there, but he was working at a different place with different tequila. So he took us back in. I showed him the picture that we took last year with him. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Come on, let's try some more tequila. So we did. And he had the same stuff. It was coffee tequila, chocolate tequila, um, passion fruit tequila. There was another fruit that he had that tasted kind of like orange uh, or mandarin or something. That was great. I'm telling you, that coffee tequila, it tasted just like coffee. You can't taste the flavor that we think of as tequila. You can't taste that. You get the kick, obviously, but it was like a great cup of coffee. Add a little cream to that in the morning, I'm set. So I think I'm going to start drinking that every morning before work. See how that turns out. But it was amazing. So yeah, tequila all over the place. Couldn't get away from it. But it was really amazing. And I'm going to do some searching today. To be honest with you, since we've been back, we haven't done much of anything except rest, because we were so tired at the end of every day, you know, being out on the beach in the sun and drinks and food and all that. I think by 9 or 10 o'clock at the latest, we were like in a coma and we were knocked out. But by 6:30 the next morning, we were up and going again. So it's past couple of days we've just been kind of relaxing, and then we didn't get home Thursday. It was actually Friday morning until about 2:30 in the morning. So just kind of trying to catch up on all the sleep and all that stuff. So there was sushi one night, all kind of stuff. I mean, just food forever. We visited the joint again. It's kind of it sounds crazy, but there's a reggae bar. They actually have two of them on the island, but there's a reggae bar called the Joint, and they play reggae music in Mexico. But all the people that work there are Mexican and speak Spanish. And we talked to one guy. His name was Chris. He was behind the bar. He had actually come from the middle of the country and came to Cancun to go to college. Went to Isla once and never left, and so he's working there at the Joint bartending, and hooked us up with some really good drinks. But you know, that bar there works because it's something different, but still has that same feel and atmosphere. Some of the best views that you could get from that bar, looking out over the ocean right there into Cancun and all that. But we visited that. So really, just overall, I mean, I'll make a long story short. It was just a great experience all the way through. Seeing if there was anything else that I wanted to hit on real quick. Uh, and I think that's about it. A couple of things that I did want to talk about real quick besides the experience. I do have to mention this. They've got a grocery store there. It's called, and I can't pronounce it. Uh, David might be able to help me out with it, but it's like a Chudro or Chidraw or something. It's like Chedrai or something. Anyway, that's their grocery store. And last year we kept passing it. We never went in there. Well, a friend of mine that goes there a lot too, she said, you need to go in there. I mean, they've got everything in there. So we made it a point uh, to go in there. So we go in there, and because that's really the only grocery store on the island, they really do have everything. It's like a True Value Hardware slash grocery store slash uh, CVS pharmacy. I mean, they have to have everything in there. They were selling mopeds in there, washers and dryers, air conditioners, um, and then in the back, we go back there, and there's a full bakery back there, full of different breads, um, pastries. And while we went in there, they were making fresh tortillas. And when I say fresh tortillas, they were coming off of a conveyor belt line. The guys packing them up and putting them on the case. And there were people going in there with grocery carts just buying 15, 20 packages of these tortillas at one time. You know, it was amazing. Really amazing. And here's the thing, that's in Mexico on a little bitty island. And we can't get stuff like that here at our grocery store. You know, that's what blew me away. But they really had everything. Um, was there any news or warnings about the Americans missing and worse at the Dominican Republic? No, there's really no talk about that. Uh, as far as Dominican Republic goes, but uh, just keep in mind that we didn't stay in Cancun, so they may talk about it there some, at the big resorts and stuff like that. But for us, this is a really small place. I mean, they only have 125 rooms, uh, and the island is just a place by itself. They don't really associate much with Cancun, except for the fact that there's a lot of day trippers that come from Cancun over to the island just to see it, and then they go back over to Cancun, that kind of thing. So they didn't really talk about that. We did talk to Chris, the bartender at the joint, about, we did notice that there were a lot more police uh, on the island this year than there were last year, as far as us seeing them. And so I asked Chris about it, and he spoke pretty good English. And so he explained that yeah, there was a larger presence of police on the island, and that's because over the past year, uh, I don't know about the Dominican Republic. All that sounds a little weird to me, but as far as Cancun, there has been like murders and stuff like that in Cancun. But basically, it's more, Mexican on Mexican type stuff. That it really doesn't have anything to do with tourists, and that's because of drug cartels. And so Chris was explaining that what has happened is there used to be one main cartel, and then over the past year, there has become two in the Cancun area, and so they're fighting over territory. And so, a couple times on Isla over the past year, some higher ups in one of the cartels has traveled over to Isla and the other cartel knew it, and so they'd send somebody over there and they'd take him out. But that doesn't have anything to do with tourists. They've got a specific job, which is to take out that one dude. And so if you're in the way, they'll say, get out of the way, por favor. And then they shoot that guy, and then they go back to wherever they came from. So there was really we felt just as safe here as we did going to Savannah. Everybody that we told here, family members and everything else, oh, y'all better be careful. I don't know about y'all going over there. And I feel just as safe walking around there. We walked around at night. I mean, just as safe walking around there as I do going to the Savannah Mall. Every single week down in Savannah, there's a shooting, so I don't know. I feel just as safe going there as I do anywhere else. So, Harley, good morning, brother. Good to see you this morning. But that kind of aggravated me. Oh, I don't know if y'all need to go over there. Well, I don't know if we need to go to the Savannah Mall. Go to Macon, Georgia, and walk around the wrong part of town and see what happens. Let alone all the larger cities. So we didn't have any problems at all as far as that was concerned. Gavin, good afternoon, mate. So that was kind of our experience as far as that kind of stuff goes. It was really not an issue at all, to be honest with you. There was a guy that drowned while we were there on his 37th birthday. They've got a buoy line out there in the water. That's right. You can't live scared. And me too. I agree with that. My daughter, Sarah, right now, she had an opportunity to go with Georgia Southern. She's one of the editors at the Georgia Southern University newspaper as a student. And they gave her the opportunity to fly out to Minneapolis, Minnesota to do a conference up there for that in journalism. She's a journalism major. And some people were telling her they didn't want her to go because it was unsafe. And I told her, look, it can be unsafe anywhere. Take advantage of this opportunity, go up there, have fun, enjoy it, be smart about your surroundings. And she has had a wonderful time up there and a great experience. So you can't live your life scared. I agree with you. So that was kind of that deal there as far as feeling safe and all that stuff. It was great. But there's a couple things that I didn't learn because I've known it for years, but it was just verified on this trip. And this is why people need to get out. I feel like sometimes people around here in my area, there are people that live here in Claxton or Glenville or wherever that have never left that town. And they live in their little bitty cocoon, their little bubble, and they are totally unaware of how other people live, and they've never experienced anything else. So the only thing that they know is what they've seen right there in their little bubble, and it's really kind of sad. But I would encourage anybody to travel, see things, experience things, whether you like them or you don't. You learn from those experiences. There was a lot of things that I didn't like about this vacation, and it had nothing to do with Mexico or where we were. That place was great. And this is the part that's going to be sad and probably a little on my soapbox a little bit, but I wanted to mention it because it's important to me as an American, as a Marine Corps veteran even. I'm proud of this country. I think it's the greatest country in the world. I believe that. However, I don't know. Yeah, Dave, I don't know probably a handful of people, not counting me and Brandy, that have passports. They just don't. They don't go anywhere. They don't do anything. They don't experience anything. But I'm very proud of this country. I think it's the greatest country on the planet. With that being said, we got a lot of issues here. Let me put it that way. The amount of Americans that I saw just traveling, just 2 days of traveling, that feel like rules and regulations and directions that they are given, signs that are posted, none of that applies to them. They can do whatever they want to do, you know. They just do whatever they want to do, you know. People are in line, they want to break in line, they just break in line, or you know, nobody beyond this point. Well, they just walk around the sign, you know, and keep right on going, or you know, just even airline boarding a plane. Okay, we need Class A only. Line up, please. Everybody in the whole area stands up and goes over there and gets in line. They're all going to let us on. Everybody's going to get on the plane. Why are you rushing to get on the plane so you can sit there and smell everybody's breath for 30 more minutes? So, you know, all Class A. Well, we were Class B or C. They call Class B. We get up there, we're behind some people. Are y'all Class B? No, we're Class C. So we got in front of them. Are y'all Class B? No, we're Class C. How hard is it to follow directions? I don't. That blew my mind, and that aggravates me a lot, because as a teacher, I see kids that cannot follow directions. And maybe it's because their parents can't. So just throwing that out there. There is a lot to experience here in the States, but I'm glad, and I'm fixing to tell you why. I'm glad that we went over there, because here's why. And this really makes me angry, to be honest with you. And so I experienced it last year, but again, if you experience something once, maybe it was just a fluke, maybe it was just you caught it on a bad day, or whatever the case may be. But it was the exact same last year and this year. And this is why it's good to experience things outside the United States. And let me be clear by this too. I am all for building a wall. I'm all for legal immigration. If you want to come to our country, come the legal way. I'm all for that. I don't believe that illegal immigrants are not helping this country. 99% of them. I just believe in doing it the right way, I guess is what I'm saying. If you want to come, I welcome, but do it the right way. With that being said, and I'm going to give you about 10 examples right here. We would wake up in the morning and go out on our balcony, and the workers that we had seen at 9 p.m. that night, the night previous, when we went to our rooms and went to sleep, when we get back up and go back out on our balcony, well, there they are again, already at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, working their tails off. First of all, they're dressed professionally every single day. But when I say working, I'm talking about sweeping the sand off of the streets with a house broom. That big. They're sweeping sand out of the road with a house broom putting it in a strainer and sifting it back onto the beach to get all the trash out of it. They're raking the sand every night. When we get back up the next morning, it looks like a brand new beach all over again, every single morning. From the landscaping, there was a guy at the port cutting grass. The grass was probably that high. It was thick grass, but it was that high. Cutting grass with hedge trimmers on his knees and hands, cutting grass with hedge trimmers. The last morning we ate breakfast down on the beach. There were big cabanas and everything out there. Some of the waiters that we had the day previous were out there in regular street clothes, not their waiter clothes, on ladders, wiping off the tops of the logs of the cabanas that had dust on them. I say all that to say this. Here in America, we have gotten lazy. We have gotten sorry. And not everybody, but it's more and more as time goes on. We have become entitled. Listen, I see so many people that say, oh, well, I can't find a job. That's a damn lie. You can't find a job that you want to do. But if you tell an American, I want you to go out there and cut that grass with some hedge trimmers, they're going to look at you like you're crazy. Or they're going to quit. They're not going to do that. They're not going to be. There was a boat out there on the beach, a canoe, that had the name of the hotel on it. It was just used for a decoration. There was a guy out there washing the decoration boat with a rag and soap in a bucket. Nobody's going to even pay attention to that here in America. The bathrooms at the beach, it was a little hut, just a little hut. That bathroom was cleaner than 90% of the bathrooms at restaurants that I go to here in the States. Nobody's going to clean the bathrooms here. I ain't cleaning that bathroom. That's what bothers me when I come back to the States. So it was the same last year. I saw people, nobody is doing things half speed. Everybody is wide open. Everybody. And it didn't matter if you were a manager or the lowest person on the totem pole. If you saw a piece of trash, they were picking it up. Before our empty plate hit the table, somebody was taking it off. I would stand up and go get another plate. And when I would come back, my napkin would be refolded and placed back on the table. Nobody does that kind of stuff here. And this is supposed to be the greatest country on the planet. That's what bothers me. We left Cancun Airport, and Cancun Airport is one of the most beautiful airports I've ever seen. Everything is marble. Everything is marble. Big airport, but clean. Everything was clean. There was not a piece of paper, a piece of trash on the floor. Not a one. Not a one. You could eat off the floor in that airport. There were restaurants everywhere. There was not a cup. There was not a straw. There was not a napkin on the floor. Everybody is gracias, sí, por favor, welcome. Everybody's nice as they can be. We fly back into Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That is an international airport. And I felt like we were in some kind of holding cell at a jail. It was that, it was that there was nobody, there was nowhere for anybody to sit. All the seats were taken. At least that number of people more were standing up. I took a picture and posted it on Instagram if you saw it, of the floor, and I'll post it. I may post it, include it in the video, of the floor in Fort Lauderdale. It was that nasty indoor outdoor carpet. It was stained. There were cups on the floor. There was food on the floor. If you were hungry, look on the floor. There's some French fries. There's some pizza. There's a chicken nugget over there, all over the floor. People just stepping over it. Straws, napkins, plastic cups. If you name what is in your trash can right now in your kitchen, and it was on the floor in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I'm looking around, where are the workers? Where are the people keeping this place clean? There weren't any. There were none. Nobody was cleaning anything, anywhere. Go to the bathroom, International Airport, they had 6 stalls. There's a line coming out of the men's bathroom. This is the men's bathroom, not the women's bathroom. There was a line going into the bathroom. Walk in there, smells like piss, smells like crap, pubic hairs everywhere. I mean, and I was sitting there looking around thinking, this is embarrassing. It's embarrassing because I'm a proud American, but it's embarrassing because that's an international airport, and people from other countries may be coming here to America for the first time, wanting to experience the American dream, American life, the great United States. When you go to Mexico, at least to Cancun, you experience that airport that I'm talking about. You come to America, and if you fly into Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and if some of you live down in Fort Lauderdale, y'all tell me what's going on down there, because that is the worst airport I've ever been in my life. And my personal opinion is that airport's not getting clean because I ain't picking up that trash. It's like we're too good all of a sudden to clean toilets and clean floors and clean up trash. There was a lady at the port when we were waiting on our transfer to go back to the airport, and it was a lady. I thought it was kind of weird at first, but after about 2 seconds of thinking about it, I appreciated her being there. When I walk into the men's bathroom at the port, there's a woman in there in Mexico. There's a woman in there cleaning the mirror, cleaning the sinks, bucket, rags, mop. But there was a divider between that and the urinals and all that. So, hola, go around, did my business. Every time somebody would exit that bathroom, she would take that mop and go over their footprints that were left on the floor. We don't have that here anymore. Nobody, you're not going to see that anywhere here. Why? I guess because we're too good to do that. And that's sad. I was embarrassed. If people from other countries are coming to this country and go into that Fort Lauderdale airport, I would think that I was in a third world country somewhere. It was embarrassing. And it humbled me too, because I'm guilty as well. The stuff that they are willing to do on a daily basis is things that we don't even think about doing. You know, I think I keep a fairly decent yard, you know, but I still have stuff laying around and all that, and you know, but it made me aware, man, I could do a lot more, you know, to our house, to the place that we live, the place that we're supposed to be proud of. They are proud. That's why I told Brandy. Me and her were standing out on the patio the other day, and we were watching them sweep all of the wooden walkways. They swept every day. All the sand swept off. They redid a walkway that went over. There's a little bridge that goes over one of the pools. They added some steps on both sides. They're wood. When we went to bed that night, they were grinding the varnish off of those steps. We woke up the next day. They were finishing the varnish back on the steps and we're done. And I watched them do it. You can tell that they took pride in the smallest of tasks. If it was sweeping the streets, they took pride in it. Stuff that we would have probably said, a little bit of sand over there, oh, that'll be all right. They didn't do that. And so it was a humbling experience. They take pride in what they do. And this is the experience, just the experience that I had where I was at. Now, granted, that is a snapshot. I'm sure there in Mexico they have people just like we have here that are sorry and don't want to do this or that. But something else that Brandy said, Troy, good to have you. Cooper the Great, good to have you. Brandy noticed this too. Isla Mujeres, the island, is a great vacation destination, but it's also home to regular, everyday Mexican people. And in the center of the island, we rented a golf cart for 2 days like we did last year. I mean, you can ride through the whole island. There are people there that are living in block houses. And when I say block, I mean concrete block, not painted concrete block. Some of them are painted, some of them are not. Some of them have windows, some of them don't. Some of them have front doors, some of them don't. We're riding through there. There's a lady on top of her house, had poles up there with lines hanging her clothes up to dry. That kind of stuff. It was so hot. It was hot, humid. Many of them don't have air conditioning. But even with all of that, so what I'm saying is a lot of them don't have much. But Brandy noticed this. She said, you know what? Some of these people don't have a whole lot. But one thing that I've noticed is I haven't seen one single homeless person here. And she was right. As little as they have, not one time did you see somebody walking down the street with a sign that says, homeless, please help. Can you give me $1? Not one time did you see a sign that said, Vietnam veteran, please give me your change, or nothing. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all about helping veterans. I'm a veteran. I'll help I'll give them a bedroom if they need it. At the same time, there are a lot of people here in America walking around claiming that they're veterans and they're homeless and they're neither, but they want a free dollar with those signs. And so, as poor as some of those people are, you didn't see any of that, at least where we were. They've got their little humble abode and they're taking pride in it. I guarantee you, you walk into one of those little block houses, I bet it's clean. So, the whole vacation was amazing. It was amazing. But the experience, again, I keep saying it because somebody will probably make the comment, oh, you should be proud of this country and all that. I am proud. But I'm also disappointed in a lot of stuff here too. And it's not the country. It's the entitlement, the I'm better than that attitude that Americans have today, especially the more recent generations, I guess I should say. And speaking of that, that reminded me of the other thing. So we get to Cancun. We get back to Fort Lauderdale, and we finally get a seat. So we sit down, and we sit beside a pole. It was like a little stand, and it was a charging station for cell phones. And it had like 4 on this side, 4 plugs on that side, and then there was a whole table of charging stations, and it's full. The table's full, and then there are people sitting in the floor around this charging station for cell phones. And the people that are sitting down there, their legs are all in the aisle. People can't get by, and this place is packed. And that girl that was sitting down there, she's texting. She might have been 17, 18, maybe 20. And there's one standing up with her cord across the aisle. She's standing up and she's texting away on that thing, oblivious to the whole world because they're involved in that cell phone. And when people would try to get by, she had to move her legs, and you could tell she was aggravated because somebody was messing up her texting conversation. No consideration at all for others that are trying to get on their plane, that she might be in their way. Nothing. I'm not sure. I don't know. We might have seen 2 Mexican people on the island with cell phones, and they have them. They're just not walking around oblivious to the world while they're texting and conversating and all that stuff. It was their cell phones to them are more of a necessity than they are a want, if that makes sense. So that was my experience leaving and coming back. Just and the workers, like the TSA workers here, if they speak to you, which most of them don't even speak to you, if they do, they're kind of rude, which I'm sure with their job, they experience a lot of idiots too. So, but the people in Mexico do too. But for some reason, they find a way to be polite and welcome you into their country. Anyway, I'm off the soapbox on that, but that was disheartening. And that Fort Lauderdale airport, I'm telling you, worst airport I've ever seen. I've been to a lot of them. Worst airport I've ever seen. So, but other than that, had a great experience. I appreciate that, Troy. Yeah, give me before you guys leave, I appreciate you being here. Give me a thumbs up if you like the live streams. I'd appreciate that. And I didn't mean to get on a rant there, but I just think Americans should be aware of that, and I'm a true believer that all these people that are on welfare and all that, one of the Mexican schoolhouses was right behind our hotel. A little bitty, humble little bitty schoolhouse. Probably no air conditioning in the classrooms. And I got thinking, I'm pretty sure nobody in that little school is getting free and reduced lunch. Nobody in that school, here where I live, the whole school gets free and reduced lunch. The whole school. And everybody in the school that I work at probably has 10 times more than anybody of those kids that goes to that school. So it was a humbling experience to see that kind of stuff. But but I'm a true believer that these people that can't find jobs, it's not that they can't find jobs. It's that they can't find a job where they can do next to nothing and still draw a paycheck. If they have to actually work, if they have to go sweep the sand out of the street with a little broom and a dustpan, if they have to cut that little square piece of grass with some hedge trimmers, they're not going to do that. That's what I'm talking about. There's not. That's why the restrooms and restaurants that you go in around here aren't very clean, because nobody wants to clean them. There's people over there taking pride in cleaning that toilet and cleaning that sink and cleaning that floor and making sure there's toilet paper there, so on and so forth. It's too good for us now. So it's kind of sad. But now, on a totally different note, I'll get off the vacation stuff. Yesterday, real quick, I cooked some salmon. And before I put the salmon on, I had a flame out on the Chimp. I set it at 300 degrees, walked inside, come back out, checked it. It was at 265. So I said, okay, about 10 more minutes, it'll be ready to go. So I walked back in the house, about 10 more minutes, grabbed the salmon, walked out the door. As soon as I walked out the door, I looked at the temp, it was 245. And then it dropped to 240. And smoke was rolling out the lid. I was like, oh, crap. So I went and put the salmon back up, came out here, turned it off, let it start going through the shutdown cycle. Opened the lid. I had my jacks, my grill grate jacks from the Silverbac. Picked up the lid, set it aside. Had a oven mitt. Picked up the grease pan, set it aside. Grabbed the heat deflector. Obviously, there's no flame in there. Moved the heat deflector. Fire pot's full of pellets. But I can also hear the fan. Sounds like it sounded like a V8 on about 3 cylinders. I mean, it's just skipping and smoke's boiling out of the fire pot. So I closed the lid. Number one, I closed the lid because if you keep the lid open, all you're doing is inviting more oxygen into that smoldering fire pot of pellets. So I closed the lid, looked underneath the Chimp, and this was the first time I've really paid attention to the bottom part of the hopper and that whole controller assembly. But I like the way they designed it because 4 screws takes off just the bottom plate of that controller assembly. So I got my driver, undid the 4 screws. It's still, old fan still skipping and popping. Look under there, and I don't know if I still got it. I think I threw it away. There was a piece of tape, but it was that tape that, you know how some like packing tape is tape, but it's got threads in it also? It was that kind of tape, but it was only about a 1/2 inch wide. But I guess it was used to hold some wires in place, like keep them out of the fan. Well, it didn't do a good job because the actual tape had come loose, and the fan had sucked that tape up into it. And so it would hit that tape and it would stop the fan, and that little motor, pretty strong, it would break loose from that tape and spin for a second and then get caught up in it again. And then spin for a second, caught up in it again. So in other words, the fan was pretty much stopped. There was no airflow. The flame went out. Pellets are still getting dumped. So I removed the tape. As soon as I removed that tape, there went the fan. So I put the screws back in it, and about that time, the fan cut off because the cool down cycle, the shutdown cycle had ended. So Brandy brought me out a oven safe glass bowl, big bowl, and a spoon. I spooned out the smoldering pellets that were in there until I got to the bottom of the fire pot. Put everything back in, started up, had a normal startup. Everything cooked fine. So again, not really my fault, not really the grill's fault. It's just one of them things that happens sometimes. But I always tell everybody with pellet grills, remember, this is not a set it and forget it type deal. You've always got to pay attention to it. So glad I caught that. Glad it didn't happen while I had the salmon on. I let it run for a few minutes when it got back up to temp, just to get those old burnt smoldering pellets out of there. And then I put the salmon on. Salmon turned out phenomenal. I used the Traeger big game rub and some summer shanty on there. It's got a little bit of lemon type flavor to it. Turned out great. Topped it with a little Kerrygold butter after we took it off. Let that melt over the top. Had some salad. Trying to get back on the keto thing after that miserable excuse for a keto attempt in Mexico. That was an epic fail. And I can feel it too. My fingers are swole up. Brandy said her joints are hurting a little bit. Every time we start eating wrong, something other than keto, her rings don't fit anymore. Fingers swell up, toes swell up. What are you barking at? Harley, come get your dog. But anyway, if you have a flame out, listen. Look, listen, and feel. What I always say, what do you smell? What do you hear? You feel anything wrong? Most of the time they'll tell you what happened. So, but I got that fixed. Ended up being a good cook. So, I got to cook on a Camp Chef and a Pit Boss over the 4th. They both work fine, but I prefer my Silverbac. Yeah, I do believe, Jeremy, that's a good point. I do believe that most pellet grills are going to produce very similar food off of them. It really comes down to, at that point, build quality, how well it's going to hold up. The controller is a big deal. And just, the company that's backing it. That's really what it comes down to. But I think they're all going to produce, a similar product at the end. Stephen, that's good to hear, brother. About the 14 pounds. I'm very happy for you, man. Very happy. By the way, I have to, and I'll talk about it more, but I need to give a shout out to Robert. On the way home, I get a email or message from Robert, and he said, you'll have something waiting for you when you get home. I get home and there's a big box, and I had never seen this before. And I don't want to run go get it because I know some of y'all have got better things to do. But it was 4, I'll show it on Wednesday night. 4 4, I guess they're 4 10-pound bags of, I think it's Balkan lump charcoal. These things are awesome. They look really cool. I think they're going to be really cool to cook with. Never heard of them, never seen it before. And man, they really look cool. So Robert, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Very humbling. I'm always humbled when somebody, from this channel sends me something, because number one, they took the time to think of me and the channel. Number two, they actually spent some money and for whatever the product cost them and whatever the shipping costs and all that stuff. I'm truly appreciative of all that. And that was pretty cool. So that was a welcome home little prize that I got from Robert. So again, Robert, thank you very much. I truly appreciate that. That was awesome. And anxious to give that a try and see. It looks like it's beech wood. I want to say, but I'll grab a bag and show you guys and put a link in the description box on Wednesday, so you can look that up. But really cool product. So that was cool. Thank you very much. Stephen, you're welcome, brother, and I'm just glad things worked out well for you. I truly am. Jace, you can use that products on another pellet grill. Absolutely. Absolutely. Didn't hurt it a bit. Didn't hurt me a bit either when I was eating it, because it was good. So that's going to be that. But sorry I rambled on so much about the vacation stuff. Just want to share a little bit with you. Again, I'll post a video sometime this week. And keep the pride thing in mind. And granted, I'm preaching to the choir, and I know that. But maybe you can share that to some of these young folks that may not know what that means. But that's one of the biggest things that impacted me on this trip was that. So just keep that in mind. I want us to take pride in our country, and I want people that when they come into our country that they think, wow, I see why people think that this is the greatest country in the world. If it is, if we feel like it is, then we should take pride in it, So Jay says there's some young folks at my work that need to hear some of that. Mine too. But I won't start that conversation up again. But I know I'm preaching to the choir. But just wanted to share, so maybe you'll share with somebody that might need to hear it. Heck, Jace, tell them my experience. Tell them what I saw other people do. I know what's going to happen. You're going to say, yeah, they were sweeping the streets with brooms and doing it, raking the beach and doing this and doing that and sifting the sand out back on all that stuff. First thing you're going to hear, and I ain't doing that. But I still think this is the greatest country in the world. I just think there's a lot of stuff that we need to work on. So before Wednesday, I'm going to do some kind of video. I have no idea what it's going to be, but I'm going to get back to the cooking. I've had my vacation. Now it's time to get back to work. Still got a couple weeks before the summer's over, so I'm going to enjoy the summer as well. It's been sprinkling here this morning, so I'm not sure if it's going to rain all day or if it's going to be cloudy all day or what, but whatever the case may be, I'm going to be out here on the back porch listening to some tunes, continuing the vacation from last week, although the scenery isn't quite as nice. Yes, when we got back at the pool, we had gotten so much rain last week, and without the attention, the pool had started turning a little green. So we threw some shock in it, got it somewhat back to normal. I got the little robot in there now cleaning the bottom. So I might take a dip in it today and brush off what the little robot didn't get. Take a little pride in my pool. Do a little hand cleaning. How about that? So I might do that. Believe it or not, I'm telling you, that had an impact on me. Yesterday morning, it was, I don't know, 7:30 yesterday morning. I'm out here scooting around on my butt, digging out all the grass that was in my flower beds, like that one, like that flower bed right there. There was a bunch of centipede grass done growed up in it. Hand picked all that out. So take a little pride in your stuff. That was pretty cool takeaway from the vacation. I appreciate all of you being here. I was wondering if anybody was going to show up after missing a couple days, but I shouldn't be missing anymore for a pretty good while. So I'll be posting a video probably of the vacation stuff and probably a cooking video before Wednesday or somewhere around Wednesday. And then I'll have the Wednesday night show. Miss Piddlin will be on there and she'll give her take on our little trip too. But very good to see you guys. I'm going to let you get on with your Sunday morning and afternoon. I appreciate you being here. Sam does too. He's fell back out of sleep. Oh, sorry, dog. Texas style barbecue and cuisine. Chef, good morning. We're about to hang it up. Dean, good to have you. Some people have superficial pride, like a vehicle that has a super clean exterior, but the inside is dirty and loose paper. You know, it's funny you should say that, Dean. There were little taxi cabs everywhere, all over, run all over the place. While I was standing on my balcony one morning, a little taxi cab comes pulling up. I mean, clean little Nissan Sentra, red. Had the wheels, tires, armor all and everything. Clean little car. Well, I guess whoever called that taxi wasn't out there yet, so he parked right under our balcony. So I'm sitting there looking at him. The guy gets out, swear to you, gets out with a rag, starts cleaning his windshield. It was already cleaning his windshield, flips the rag over, cleans it again, starts wiping off the hood. He's wiping off the top of the vehicle when his customer comes out. Puts a rag in his pocket, goes around there, opens the door for him, boom, takes their luggage, pops the trunk, puts the luggage in there, boom, in the car, there they go. How many taxi cab drivers you know here that have gotten out while they're waiting on you and they're wiping down the exterior of their vehicle with a rag? Takes pride in it. But that's his source of income, They take pride in it. Woke up late. Look at that. Woke up late for Jus Piddlin and work. Well, Mike, catch the recap if you want to. I think you'll enjoy some of the stuff I got on my soapbox a little bit. You'll probably enjoy that too. But we'll cover more of that on Wednesday night. So anyway, I appreciate you, every single one of you. I'm going to let you get on with your Sunday because I know it's important to you. I'm going to get on with my Sunday and pill around out here in the backyard, take a little pride in my backyard. So until next time, guys, thank you so much. And until next time, I'll be piddling.